Hello everybody, Mario here for day 28. Today's paint was bolt gun metal and the marine teal. The marine teal was to touch up the swooping hawks, and the bolt gun metal was to get some more pop out parts on them. I did the kind of grilled face plate and some gun accents on the barrel and the tubing, and also on these sort of rocket parts on their wings. Trying to keep the metal a small part of the Eldars in my groups. I see the Eldars being an advanced race that, one, they can manipulate other materials besides metal into different ways that humanity has yet to figure out, and two, because metal is such a direct element of the earth, I think that they would have found different ways to manipulate it, or possibly even other things to manipulate, because they might not be collecting resources from planets in the same sense that the Mechanicum does, since their craft worlds are pretty much floating planets. They might have more of a bioplastic. For some reason, I also imagine the Eldar, their armor, to be very like skin tight winter skiing outfits you see like in the Olympics. You know, they're very tight, like bicycle out clothing. And of course, we all know when they fall, it tends to rip pretty quickly. So I imagine the Eldar to have similar sort of methods to their armor. Thus, not much metal, and so I'm trying to keep the metal, back to the beginning, off the Eldar. Not so much, more the accent color instead of like the Space Marines, where he's all metal. Everyone can understand that. It's a sign of strength, but in some ways is also a sign of almost inferior technology in that way. Whew, that was a big mouthful ramble. But for the question, if you could take any fiction and advance it, what would it be and how would you advance it? I had a little trouble with this one because the word fiction makes me think paper, story, book. And all the ones that I instantly thought of had sequels. And, or they're in the process of making sequels. So it would be more like speculation as to what I would like to see in the sequel. But though my answer kind of follows those lines as well, it's my answer all the same. This is The Flight of the Einstein. And if you haven't read it, it's, I think yes, this is the fourth book of the Horus Heresy series. And it's pretty much, as far as I know, the last of the story arc of the first four books. The first four books are a continual sort of story arc of Horus and his group of the four sort of main people of his council. They have a name which I usually forget. And how Horus delves into the situation that he later becomes the War Master, and then becomes sort of the minion of Chaos, if not his own choosing of a Chaos Master. That's debatable. But in The Flight of the Eisenstein, Garo, a loyalist of the Death Guard, escapes from Ivistan. The whole destruction of the other loyalist chapters, the cleansing, for lack of a better word, of the traitorous chapters of the guys who they thought would be not willing to go against the Emperor and the Imperium. They're all killed, but he gets away, Garo, and in doing so he travels to Earth to tell the Emperor and the Imperium what's going on. You probably already know that. That's well known. But his story continues. His story continues with the audio dramas, which I am a fan of. I have pretty much all that I know of, except for the newest one, which is entitled Burden of Duty and Grey Angel. In each story, he is charged by the Sigillite to collect more people for this weird sort of A-team that we don't know what they're going to do yet. That's what I would like to push the story forward, to find out what they're going to do. By the end of the third set of CDs, this team is formed. It's an ultramarine psyker who loses his sort of connection to his chapter because of the Council of Nakia forces him to be no longer a psyker. And Garo comes along. They're stuck in a moment where they have to fight or die, and since they're ultramarines, they oddly are pretty much choosing that they're going to die, because it seems almost more like another chapter like the Imperial Fist or the Dark Angels, who are much willing to make these last stands. But anyway, so Garo forces him to open up to the psychic power again, and he does so, and as soon as he does, all the ultramarines like turn their back on him, and he hates himself and hates Garo, but he goes along with him because he has nowhere else to be. And they pick up also, between stories, they pick up a World Eater's Terminator. In this A-team, most of it is loyal Space Marines of traitorous legions. So it shows that not everyone just willingly followed their Primarch. So now that the team is assembled, I really want to know what their purpose is, because in talking we learned that they're not going to end up being Grey Knights, because this is Heresy era. They don't become Grey Knights as the story continues, and I've yet to kind of surmise what they could fall into the world as I know it. But that's what I would like to see continued. James Swallow is a good writer in that, and I would like to see it continue. Another thing that James Swallows does, just as a side note, is the Sisters of Battle storyline for 40K, and the Red and Black is quite good. And as a side note, almost every main person connected to the CD, as in the writer and the performers, is connected to Doctor Who in a small way. There's quite a good story that would probably fit into a Doctor Who episode quite nicely in this. Sisters about to go to a place. They find out it's run mostly by robots. Well, human-looking robots. And they're stuck in a moment where the robots shouldn't be in control of man. But the robots really are their salvation, and yet the problem at the same time. And the sisters have to decide which way to go. And unlike most sort of like black and white Sisters of Battles moment, the main character has that gray area where she sees, I guess, the end that justifies the means sort of notion. Anyway, well, this is a long enough video as it is. And that's my day 28. See you at day 29.